In here on this Tuesday afternoon now. Let me check the audio, see how we're doing here. Everybody getting all situated for the big schedule reveal. It's coming up in a few moments. Nice coffee for the day. Just the lights, just a tad. I'm going to shoot with one camera today. So there we go. Hear myself. So that's all good. Just the lighting, just a tad. There we go. All right. Coming up next, no longer coming up next. We're coming up now. In three, two, one. Glad you guys are along. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special breaking news edition. Hey, John, good to see you as well. Let's go ahead and play this. We always like to start with a little jam like this. Oh, yes. This jam. All right. Let's bring that down. Baseball, Sioux City style. We'll play it in the background. You guys aren't hearing it? You should be hearing it. You should be hearing the Explorers jam, right? That's odd. That's really odd. You guys aren't hearing that? Oh my god, it worked last week. That's weird. Okay, well, I'm hearing it in my headphones, so for some reason, you guys didn't hear the jam, didn't hear the open, so I don't know. Don't know what to tell you. I'm hearing it in my ears right now, and you guys aren't hearing it. All right. Well, chalk that up to technology or to me or whatever you want to do, but it did work last week. That's one thing that did work last week was the open jam. Let's just stop that anyway. It's in my ears. But okay. Well, trust me, it was baseball Sioux City style. I don't know what to tell you. Hey, what I do know what to tell you is the schedule's out. I'm going to bring this up just a tad here. I'm in a little bit of trouble with the camera today. Glad you're along. I'm going to run through it real quickly. Tom Backmeyer is going to join me in about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to blow through it real quickly here and kind of give you just the basics to get you started. And we're going to visit with Tom, talk a little bit about what, from the organization standpoint. Great to see you too, Ethan. Hope you're doing well on there on the screen. We will visit with Tom about the schedule and some of the things there. There's and I'm going to give you in the back end. I'm going to give you my knee jerks, the tough trips, and just the kind of the key stretches. There's a couple of key stretches. There's a couple of tough trips, and there's my knee jerks. I'll give those to you in the back half. The league announced things at 10 o'clock, so some of y'all probably saw this already. If you were really paying attention, which some of the beer leaders were, they went to the website and saw it was up at 10 o'clock. It was up. We waited till noon to do the show here, but a little bit of light, just a little bit more lighting here, just to so y'all can see me in my large glory. I guess that's part of what was going on there. Brett asking about the new lighting, but let me just go through this. While Tom, like I said, will be on with a moment, and let's just go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the screen for us here, and there it is in its entirety. Let me put the graphic down. I don't know how much you can see of that. I'm going to go by month here in a moment, but we know opening day will be on the road again Friday, May 15th at Chicago. Home opener is Friday, May 22nd. I'll give you a little better look at this in a moment. But again, this is about as standard of a schedule as you're going to get. There is a bit of a quirk a little bit later on. Hey, Robert, good to see you. There's a little bit of a quirk where actually early on, there's a doubleheader early. I'm going to get to that with Tom in a moment, similar to what we had last year later on. And again, all my knee jerks will be coming in a few minutes, so we'll get to all that. And then I'll also break it down. Let's go by month quickly here. And I'm going to give you, here we go, May. This is May. Chicago doubleheader on the 20th of May at Lincoln, home against Lincoln, and then Milwaukee for heading to Kansas City to close out that first part of May. So there is May right there. Let you guys check that out. May opening night. I would assume be opening night in Chicago. It's almost got to be. Of course, will be an opening night as well. Now, game times are still up in the air. We don't have all those yet, but we'll get those to you down the road. So there's your May look right there. Oops, sorry, I went the wrong way. My bad. That's the wrong direction. Graphic person. There we go. Graphic. There we go. There's June. June. Gary, Winnipeg on the road, home against Sioux Falls and Cleveland. Sioux Falls at Sioux Falls, King County on the road. Then you got Winnipeg at home, Kansas City at home, and you've got Sioux Falls to take you into July. July to 4th of July, though, you'll see Sioux Falls 3rd, 4th at home, and the 5th on that Sunday. Then you got Fargo at home, 7th, 8th, and 9th of July into the All-Star break against Lincoln. Then you're down at the All-Star game in Lincoln. Cleburne coming out of it again, just like last year. We're going to see Cleburne after the break. Lincoln again. You'll be done with Lincoln then as well. You're actually done with Sioux Falls on July 5th. I'll get to all that a bit later on. If you're on the podcast, you're not seeing this, but we're going to get to all this. Then Kansas City, and then you got Gary again in Gary, but you're going to see Gary again as well on this next graphic as we go to August. Fargo, Gary to Fargo. We'll talk about that a bit later on. Lake Country at home for 4. Chicago comes back to pay us a visit the tail end of that August week, 1st of August stretch. Fargo and then Winnipeg on the road. Then Fargo and Winnipeg at home, so back and forth. Gary again in that tail end of August. King County at home. And then you've got Kansas City. I keep seeing, I want to say King County, Kansas City and Lake Country to close things out. So there is the schedule right there, month by month. I'm going to go back. We're going to come back to that a bit later on, okay? Because I do have some knee jerks and a couple of things. I think Robbie just chimed in. Long road trip to start and finish the season, which is exactly right. The Explorers have a long trip to start the year, a long trip to finish the year. There's no 9-game road trip this year. 2 7s open the season, close the season in the 7s, but you don't have a long 9-gamer. So there's that. Robbie also says, I put a breakdown of the schedule in the Discord for everyone. Yes. Some of you folks have probably seen this already. It was actually, I believe it was on the website late last night because when I went and checked, before the game started last night, the link was up, but I didn't think it was live, but there was a link to the schedule. Now we're going to have it's on the website now, and I'll put the link up in a few moments in the chat. So if you want to go check it out, you can download that printable schedule and all that. We're going to go through it. And again, the game times are going to be coming as well. All that's coming down the road. But DB and KC on the weekend. Yeah, I'll be on the weekend. That always works out well for a flight to Texas as well, too. But again, we'll get to all the knee jerks in a few moments, and we'll tell you about all that. But yeah, Brett, good to see you out there, mate. But it's out. Schedule's out. My question to y'all as we go forward in this show today, this breaking news Explorers Espresso edition. My question is pretty simple. Are you excited? And if so, why are you excited? What does this change your step today in the fall? We're talking here it's October 21st. We've got a long way to get there. It seems like the season's never going to get here. It's a long way off. I believe I saw one of the posts. I believe it would have been one of the AAA teams. I think it was AAA. But I saw one of the teams. I may have been Des Moines, Omaha, one of the two, posting 200 days to opening day, which I'm thinking, boy, that sounds pretty close. But then I started thinking about they started a little earlier this month. We're getting close to rolling through the end of the year. And we're also getting close to have the guy joining us on the screen in just a moment as he's standing by in the wings. Our guest on this breaking news Expresso edition, Tom Backmeyer, our vice president, general manager. I'm going to bring him in 3, 2, 1 as Bill Jordan is here in just a moment. There he is. Tom, how you doing, sir?
Good morning, Dan. You got me? We're good?
I hear you. I hear you fine. How you doing?
We're doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I unwrapped the big schedule. I'm excited. Are you excited, I guess, is the first
The big unveil, right? What is it? Is it 7 months from tomorrow is opening day? Is that right?
Yes, 20. Yeah, the 22nd of against Lincoln is opening day in Sioux City. You're right.
So we're right there. The countdown begins.
Well, let's jump right into the look at the schedule. I already went through it a little bit. I'll go through it a bit later on with the folks on the breakdown. Let me get this off the screen as well as our vice president and general manager, Tom Backmeyer, joining us here. Um, First off, I guess the first thing is to your overall organizational feel about the schedule so far. How do you feel about it? You feeling good about what's come down the pipe here?
Yeah, I'm never one that gets too worked up about it one way or the other. Some years you feel like it's better than others, but at the end of the day, there's a lot that goes into it and a lot of different variables that every team has, not just us. You're trying to deal with schedule and availability for 12 different locations, and but overall, I think it's good. The from an operational standpoint, we have two additional weekend dates than we had last year, which is a good thing for us at home. Obviously, we want to be at home for as many weekend dates as we can. Couple travel, a couple of road trips that are maybe a little bit wonky, but is what it is. I think last year we had a pretty favorable road schedule, and so this year maybe a couple trips that are a little longer than we would like. But at the end of the day, I'm never one that gets too worked up about it, just because I realize it's difficult. I tried to build a schedule once in the Northwest League, and I worked on it for about 3 hours, and I had a massive headache, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. So it's harder than it looks. I get it, and I'm more just excited that we now have it, and we can kind of get to business and get to work as far as selling tickets and groups and sponsors. And so that's the positive. We understand it'll never be perfect, but we'll be ready to go at home on May 22nd.
This is always the first domino to fall in our business. It's that, now that you've got it in front of you, you've got, okay, we got this. The whole thing changes. You're kind of in a holding pattern. Tell the fans what goes on now. I mean, because now you've it's like the starting gate, at the track or whatever, but you're off and running now. That's kind of the feeling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We sent out, for those listening, we sent out season ticket renewal forms, either early last week or the beginning of the prior week. But anyway, season ticket renewals are now out there, and we're starting the process of getting meetings set up with sponsors. And just kind of, it feels like each year the off season gets shorter and shorter. So even though it's 7 months away, feels like a long time. Obviously now there's a lot of work to be done to get the sponsors back and season ticket holders, and then we'll eventually start looking at promotions and different ideas to keep things creative and fun and entertaining. So you're right. There was some downtime once the season ended and kind of winterized everything, and now it's no more excuses. Right, time to get back to work. We've got our schedule. We know when we're going to be here, and we're going to come up with as many creative and fun ways to encourage fans to be out here for all 50 of these home dates, and go from there.
Tom Backmeyer, our Vice President and General Manager of the Explorers. I'm Dan Vaughn here on a special schedule release edition of Explorers Expresso on this Tuesday, October 21st. Tom, 9 weekends this year, up from 8. That's an exciting thing. More weekend baseball at Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, that, like I said, that's one I guess benefit that we got this year. Obviously, the weekend dates are important, and the more that we can get, the better. So it gives us, well, there will be some form of giveaways and fireworks and some of the same kind of stuff, but having that extra weekend really helps. Last year, if you remember, I think we got rained out the first 2 Friday nights, and when you do that, it's from a business standpoint, you're kind of digging yourself out of a hole the rest of the season. So the more weekends, the better. And like I said, no schedule is perfect, but overall, we're excited and time to get to work.
Just the timeline. And I know it because we talk about this internally, and it happens. We're going to slowly be releasing things, as they. But we're looking at now putting the promotional side together, and that's probably a few weeks off, right?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that too, just because it has to be correlated and tied in with whatever sponsors want to get involved. So some of that stuff doesn't really happen until after the first of the year. But those meetings will start happening here shortly, and different idea sessions amongst our staff. And really, the next step is it's kind of I guess baby steps till the holidays, and then once you get into January, it's a sprint, and here we go. But and then we'll have, like you mentioned, we'll have some player signings coming up here pretty soon, I think, and so there will be more and more information coming out and fun things coming out. And I always look at it, it's kind of twofold. You've got the end of the season, and then you've got the schedule release, and you're kind of gradually getting back into it. And then once the holidays hit and you're back in January, then it's full steam ahead. And And one thing I did forget, we're working on the Black Friday package, which will come out again here, I guess, under a month now, which has been really popular the last couple of years. So yeah, there'll be plenty of work to be done, and some announcements coming up here in the next few weeks.
Backmeyer with us here at Explorers. Um, couple of things, and this kind of piggyback question here because I know late when I actually put my notes together over the weekend, I wrote down, okay, we have off days on these Mondays. We had, I believe it was, we had games like on 4 Mondays or 5 Mondays, I forget what, but we actually moved that first week of the season, that first road trip. Sort of what we did last year. We had a doubleheader situation. We played two in Sioux City against Lincoln. I believe this year we're doing the same thing on that road trip, May 20th. What went into that?
Yeah. So, and this is more obviously for Steve and for the team, but we were the way the original schedule came out, it was 17 straight games to open the season, which is obviously a lot. I wasn't real familiar with it, but after talking to the league, I guess the league rule is you can technically play up to 20 days in a row, which is just a lot. And so, especially to start the season and depending where your pitching is at and whatnot. So we reached out to Lincoln and they were able to accommodate. And so yeah, the 18th, which is the Monday, we'll take an off day and then we'll play a doubleheader with them down there on the Wednesday. So kind of a little bit different scenario, but similar to last year. And you'll notice throughout the league, the reality is most teams, Monday night home games are tough. It's a tough draw. And I noticed there was 3 or 4 teams that did the same thing, to kind of trade out of their Mondays. And so we weren't the only one that did it, but it helps us break up that 17 game stretch. And then we'll actually play a Monday home game here on the 25th, which is Memorial Day. So, which is a fun one and a good opportunity to do some cool promotions on the 25th. So we do have that one. I think that's our one other Monday home game on August 3rd. So yeah, so 2 Monday home games, but in a perfect world, I think it's good for the coaches and the players to have Mondays off and kind of breaks up the week and kind of gets you into a little bit better routine.
Absolutely. Tom Backmeyer with us here on our schedule release show. A lot of work goes into this, as you mentioned, and on both sides. And I ask you this every year. We talk about this every year at the same show. I've asked this question now 2 years in a row, third year in a row now. Your work and how the work back and forth with the league goes, because we want to have, 4th of July is big to us. That's big for Sioux City. It's been that way since the club came into existence. It's going back to the early '90s. There's certain protocols that you guys go through to make sure that, or you go through to make sure that those certain dates are protected or whatever. How does that work? Just maybe for the fans' perspective.
Yeah. So the league gives us, really in like early August, they put out an email and each club gets 5 requested dates. And essentially those requests can be, hey, I want to be home on these days, or I want to be on the road on these days. And you rank your requests 1 through 5. There's no guarantee that you'll get them, but they do their best to try to fulfill those. And so whether that be, obviously we always request to be home on July 3rd and 4th. That's our top priority request. And then there's certain times, I like the last couple of years, I've actually requested to open the season on the road. It helps us get things ready here, hopefully the weather warms up a little bit. It helps the field. And so that was one of our requests. And then there's just a few other things, here we don't do a ton of, outside events or non-explorers events, but for many of the teams in the league, as you saw, they've got the Savannah Banana stuff or high school stuff or whatever it is. And so everybody gets those 5 requests. And so you think about it, you got 12 teams, 5 requests, that's 60 different, variables that then get submitted to the league, and they put it all in the mixer, and out comes the schedule a couple months later. So
Right.
it's like I said, every league that I've ever been in that's a similar system. You have a little bit of say in dates, and obviously, like you said, the 3rd and 4th are important, and those will kind of an unwritten rule that we'll always get those, and it works that Lincoln needs to be out of town those dates, which is kind of our travel partner in a lot of cases. So, but yeah, it there's more that goes into it than you would think. And I know there's a lot of times, like we go to Chicago to open the season. It's like, why don't we go from Chicago to Gary or whatever? And we did last year, and for whatever reason, it didn't work this year. So we go to Chicago to Lincoln, and, it's hard. If it was doing a schedule for one team, it'd be easy. When you do it for 12, there's a lot that goes into it, but that's kind of the behind the scenes. It really starts in August, and, they work on it. And here we are, end of October, with a a version that we're ready to roll with.
Ready to roll. That schedule's out. Tom Backmeyer with you, Dan Vaughn here on Explorers Express. So, question here. Robbie's asking, and it's actually a pretty good question because I don't know the answer to it. I'll throw it out to you. What's with the weird scheduling of Milwaukee and Gary over the last couple of seasons? I think what he means, we haven't been to Milwaukee now in 2 years, but we're going to. And Gary came to see us twice last year. We're going to see them twice. Is there any kind of rhyme or reason, just the way the chips fall? I guess.
Yeah, Robbie, I appreciate the question. I don't have an answer. Really, just the way the chips fall. So in division, so in the Western Division, the schedule's balanced, with the exception of I think we play Lincoln 13 times and the other division teams 12
Yep,
times, right?
yep,
So
yep, yep.
relatively
Correct. That's
basically,
correct.
basically balanced on our side. In the Eastern Division, there's no balance. And that's for a few different reasons, but just basically like when you run the numbers, like it's hard to have a balanced schedule. And so we're kind of at the mercy of what we get in the East. And I don't know why it's been Milwaukee the last 2 years that, it's just been odd. I think in 2 years ago, we didn't go to Gary at all. Right. So,
Yep, yep, yep,
um,
yep.
it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't have a great answer, I guess, but yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see Milwaukee here at the end of May, and then that's it. And then a couple other weird things, like we don't see Fargo until July, I
yep,
believe.
yep.
Um, and I think we're done with Sioux Falls in July. So like, yeah, there's definitely some kind of quirks to it, but
There is
um,
some. Yeah, there are definitely some quirks there. I would also add too, Cleburne with their travel situation and what those series are. If you guys want to, maybe the best answer for some of you guys, go look at Cleburne's schedule because they've got a really like they open at home for six and they have a lot of 6 game series, things like that. It's a little dip in that matrix sort of the numbers just sort of match up like that. And I think it's just for the luck of the draw. But yeah, I don't think there's no conspiracy, Robbie. We're getting to go to Gary twice, so it's all good, and we'll enjoy Ben's pretzel there. But all right, you mentioned now that it's time to kind of crank into tickets and things like that. You mentioned the Black Friday thing. Uh, any other items that were kind of pushing that direction? Just hey, get those tickets, get those. If you're interested, give us a shout. Right?
yeah, absolutely. Especially any of the season ticket holders that are listening. Like I said, the renewals are out there. They came via email. If you have any questions or if you didn't get it or it went in your junk mail or whatever, give us a call. But excited to get that stuff up and running. And then, like I said, the Black Friday, I think it's around the 15th, 16th of November. So 3 weeks or so from now, we'll have all that out. And that obviously has been really popular the last couple of years, and I think it will be again this year. It's a really cool package, and more to come on that. Just follow us on social media here over the next 3 weeks. So we got that, and then we've got some league meetings coming up in November, and we'll see what happens there if there's anything that's relevant or rules changes or things of that sort, and then off and running. So it's time. Like I said, if we had some downtime, now it's time to get back to work.
Final thing with Tom Backmeyer, I always like to ask you these toward the end, and like we have you on Sundays too, but toward the end of the year. But I didn't get a chance to do this. We didn't have a Sunday game at the end of the year, but that was year 3 for you. How was it, and just how are you feeling about last season and about where we are as an organization now?
Yeah, I think night and day from where we were 3 years ago. But I only say that knowing that there's still a long ways to go. I think we actually, we have kind of systems now, and like there's sort of a guideline that we're working with, and like each year's gotten progressively better. Our attendance this past year was almost dead flat, which obviously I want to see it increase. But there was some variables with weather and whatnot. So all in all, it was a good season for us. But like I said, I have high expectations, and I know Mr. Roos does too. And those of you guys that come out and obviously listening to this show are greatly, greatly appreciated. And we just got to get more and more people coming out. And so that's our job to get creative and be aggressive and reach out to companies and get in front of them this off season. And the product on the field has been fantastic the last 3 years. And so we're winning games, and now it's our job to make sure we've got as many people in the seats as possible to watch it. So, but yeah, overall, I mean, compared to where we were 3 years ago, it's a lot better feeling. But I still every day you're trying to find ways of how can we be better, whether it's getting the field in better condition or better promotions or different ticket sales strategies. Like there's always, things that you're thinking about of what can we do to make it the best season yet. And that'll be the objective here over the next 7 months.
Appreciate your time. By the way, somebody's asking another Star Wars night. Well, you have to stand by for that. Stand by to find out all these things, right? Well, that's the thing we're teasing. We have things coming, but we don't know what they are yet. We're not going to tell you, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say it was a popular night. I would say pretty good odds on that one, but we'll see. There's a lot of different things like that are in the works, but pretty good odds you'll see a Star Wars night again.
Awesome. Hey, Tom, appreciate your time. I'm excited. I'm fired up, and let's just keep rolling right along and roll on to 2026.
All right, Dan, appreciate it. Go X's.
Go X's. There he is. Tom Bachmeyer right there, our Vice President and General Manager right there. He is pure greatness. Appreciate his time as always. Great stuff. Let's see here. Let's jump in a couple of comments here. Can't wait for the Explorers Fun Bark in the Park. Woof. Yeah, he's pacing the floor. The Bark in the Park, local Bark in the Parker here. He's pacing. I don't know, man. He'd make him like 17 this summer. Oh my gosh. Let's also go back here. And again, appreciate Tom for joining us. Let's see here. Where were we? Brett talking about DV and KC. Yes. Saturday night at Owls. Absolutely, Brett. Probably even a Sunday, probably more likely a Sunday afternoon at Owls. That's probably, but either one, yes, absolutely, man. Of course, if you guys know Owls in Parkville, it's great wings, awesome wings at a great place. Brett, I look forward to seeing you and give you a big hug, my friend. Robbie says, I'll be excited if we sign those 4 gentlemen. Okay, on the graphic, if you folks on the podcast are not going to see it, but the graphic, the schedule release has Vuletic, Marmon, Drury, and I think that's Henry George on the graphic. A great graphic on that schedule release graphic there. And that's what Robbie's saying. So yes, Robbie, I would say I'd be excited to have those boys as well. John says only 7. Yeah, John, only 7. Oh, man. So we got you all caught up there. Jason was the one asking about the Star Wars night, and you heard Tom talk about that. Robbie adds July 3rd and 4th, really good crowds with the birds coming down. Yes. I kind of think that July 3rd and 4th is notoriously the July stretch. Let's just go back the last couple of years. Let's go back 2 years ago. That was the stretch where the team was sort of in neutral a bit. That was when J.D. Schulten made the big appearance over the weekend after the 4th of July. The team had a win and a loss that week, was starting to hit the ball better and things are starting to kind of gel a bit. We still had another 3 or 4 weeks before the situation in Cleveland after the All-Star game, but I think the team peak anyway. It's a great home field advantage on July 3rd and 4th, and against Sioux Falls. And by the way, that weekend will be the last time you'll see Sioux Falls, and I'll bring those up in a moment. Some of the things I've got here because I got a couple of notes here that I'm going to go through as well. But as I play the reset button here, what else we got here? I think that's it. We were 8-5 last season in July. Yes, 18-5. July was that was the best July, I think, since 2015, I believe. And I think it tied the record for the 2019, I believe, that it had a really good July. Or was it 8? It was 19, 18. 18 or 19 both had 18 win Julys, but it was right up there. 2015, I think, they won 20 in July. I think that's right. I had to go back and look, but I had all that in the game notes, which probably be a good idea to put those on the website next season, but that just popped in my head right there. But Explorers Expresso, it's the schedule release edition. So now I'm going to jump back in to a couple of things I talked about. Again, I want to hear what you guys think. You're excited, not excited, fired up. Couple things, okay? Now, some of the notes, Tom mentioned we have 61 games against the West Division, 61 games against the West, 30 at home, 31 on the road. Now, remember, one of those openings is a doubleheader, okay? Now, the games, we're talking games. You have 50 home openings. Not last year you had 49, so you have one more scheduled home opening because last year you had a doubleheader at home. On the road, you've got openings, but you've got this, one more division game on the road, and that's that first week against Lincoln. Okay. You're going to play 13 against Lincoln. You're done with Lincoln July 23rd. Crazy, right? Kansas City 12, Winnipeg 12. I'll come back to them in a moment. Sioux Falls 12 and Fargo 12. You're done with Sioux Falls July 6th, as I mentioned a moment ago, or July 5th, but that Monday's the July 6th. Winnipeg, interesting to note, you've got an early series June 5th and 6th at Winnie and a road series in August. Much like we've had before, usually that first trip is going to be tough because you don't have all your bodies to get the timeline for the getting this visas and all that paperwork done for international players is tough. And government, doesn't matter if it's Canada, Australia, United States, whoever, it's going to take some time, right? And I believe they have a clearinghouse, I think in Nova Scotia, that handles all that. I think, and anyway, it takes time, right? And you may or may not have all your bodies together. Now, by August, remember that second trip in August last year, we went in September, actually August, September, but the team was a lot better. It wasn't full strength, but you're better, right? You're in a better position. So that does benefit you as well. The East, though, really 39 games against the East. You've got a 3-3 series with Chicago, the fourth Milwaukee, which is kind of odd. Gary South Shore is the real outlier here. 9 games against the Railcats, who will be a better Railcat team. I can tell you that right now. That's not 9 layups. That's 9 tough ball games, 6 of which will be at their place, which they played really well in their ballpark. Once the X's left last July, they were great at home in August. That's going to be a challenging situation. Circle that in your notes as well. Then King County, the champions, 3-3. Lake Country, 4-4. Now we didn't see Lake Country at home last year. We'll see them at home for 4 and there for 4. That's the last road trip of the year. Close things out. Then Cleburne 3-3. So there we go. That's how things break down. I promised a couple other things too here on the show. I'm going to go back to a couple things here. Okay, now I'm going to go with, let's just start with my knee jerks. Here's my knee jerks on the schedule. These are my knee jerks. Let me bring the graphic down for you folks on the video side. Here are my graphic. DB's knee jerks on 2026 schedule. Okay, here are my knee jerks. Tough open, tough close. Again, the opening series at Chicago, playoff team. I think it's good you get them early. That's what happened last year. You got them in the second series. You won a cup. You won that series. Remember, it was a 4-game series there, but it was a tough one. It was a tough road trip. But you remember, you survived the road trip, beating both King County and Chicago. Well, you have to beat Chicago and Lincoln. Now, Lincoln's a 4-game series with a doubleheader mixed in, but it's the first week. You're gonna have that doubleheader. Remember, you're gonna have a larger roster. You're gonna have the 28-man roster at the time that first 10 days. So you're gonna be okay there, pitching wise and depth wise. Okay, but that's a tough open with the 7 on the road. Your tough close is that, and Robbie mentioned it earlier, that tough close, Kansas City for 3 and Lake Country for 4. And you're going to have I would assume, a night game on a Thursday in Kansas City, a night game on a Friday in Lake Country. What's that, about an 8-hour ride from Kansas City to Milwaukee, something like that, maybe. I feel like that's about right, 7 hours. That's a tough one. We're going to get to that in a moment, but that's first 2 knee jerks. Hello, Gary is the other knee jerk. Again, I mentioned a moment ago, 9 games against Gary South Shore. Nothing against Gary South Shore. I love the park. I love the people there. I spent some very special time there. My mom is excited because she'll get a chance to come over and see us. And she even said to me last night when I told her I'd be in Gary twice, she's like, I can't wait to see my favorite broadcaster and my adopted sons, being Steve Montgomery and Bobby Post. She's fired up for that. So there's that. But again, that's always a great trip for me. My brother's an hour and change away. So it's always nice to be in Chicagoland because even though I'm not from the area, never lived in the area except when I was in Gary South Shore, but I have some connections there. It's where the Ronald McDonald House thing started. So there's a lot of that. I got a cousin that's there. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So it's special to me. And but again, Gary South Shore, it's one of those situations where circle that team on the East because you've got 9 games against them, and those are gonna all matter. Yes, they're not division games, but they're going to matter in the standings. And that's going to be a real challenge because they're going to be better, and those are not layups. Okay, so Gary South Shore is one just to kind of circle because you got 9 games against them. The other thing is they close out 3 or 4 at the East, 3 or 4 at the East, and that hard last 7. That's really combined knee jerk. You've got it's weird this year because remember last year when we were going down the stretch and I was breaking down, you know, Fargo's got this and Sioux Falls has got this, and both had to play Cleburne. I think didn't Fargo play Chicago or was it Lake Country? There was some kind of mix in there. Maybe it was Sioux Falls that played Chicago, and they also had Cleburne, right? And there was those out of division games late. And the X's were playing steady division games the whole way, right? Toward the close things out. Well, this year in 26, next year, the X's will get a bit of a weird dynamic because you're going to see Kansas City that last road trip, but 3 of your final 4 series are against the East. You're going to face Fargo and Winnipeg at home. You're going to have Gary at Gary, and then King County at home. That's Series 1, Gary. Series 2, King County at home. Then you're going to go to Kansas City. So there's a division bunkmate. Then you're going to close out with Fort Lake Country. So you're going to have 3, 6, 7 of your final 10 ball games are going to be against the East. Now, the dynamic there is always interesting because think about it in this term. Depending on what the pecking order is, you can be fighting for a division, wild card, whatever. But those teams, King County division reigning champions 2 years in a row, Gary will be better. Those games are going to matter for everybody. Those cross division games are going to matter for everybody. And then, of course, Kansas City, Lake Country, who was a playoff team last year as well, won the East Division. I mean, there's a lot of in and out. I've always thought that you'd like to play your division last. That's what you want to be hopefully playing that last month, your division bunkmates. It doesn't work out mathematically for you to do that this year. You're going to be playing, again, a lot of East Division teams. And that's okay. It's different. It's not the ideal situation, but it is what it is. So, I don't like it, but it's something to stay. Again, you just win your series, you're going to be fine. If this would have been last won your series, it didn't make any difference, right? It's all going to be fine. Now, again, that's just my knee jerk. And then a hard last 7. That's a tough last 7. Kansas City, you're going to be up against a good team with a good offense and good pitching. That's what they do. And Lake Country had the best record in the league in the East last year. That's a tough 7. So those are my knee jerks right there on the schedule for this Explorers Expresso breaking news edition right there. I also promised you a couple other things as well. Let's do this. Let's bring this down because that's my knee jerks. There's 2, and these things are kind of intertwined here, what I'm going to tell you, because they're really, and they're going to sound like I'm saying the same thing, and maybe it does, but I'm thinking from 2 different things. I'm going to go with this one first. This is key stretches. Now, key stretches. What I mean by key stretches. This is where we break down the schedule. Remember when Connor and I used to talk about this when he worked with me 2 years ago on Sundays? We break things down the 10-game increments, the 20-game increments, and all that. This is sort of like that, but I like to look at the schedule and go, okay, these are going to be the blocks that you got to watch, right? And I would say, for example, that first stretch, getting off to a good start that first week would be huge, right? Getting a nice start of the season in May is an obvious, right? You don't want to get buried early. You'd like to be kind of hovering around 500 out in front early. That's obvious. But a couple of things that I thought about key stretches wise, there's 18 in a row in the West from June 23rd to July 12th. On June 23rd, you're going to be at home against Winnipeg. You got Winnipeg, Kansas City at home, Sioux Falls on a commuter, back against Sioux Falls, Fargo and Lincoln before the All-Star break. Okay? That is a huge where you've got some division games coming up in August as well. But that's the first stretch, the 18 a row against the West from June 23rd to July 12th. Okay. Then my light's I wonder why I kept seeing light moving. My light moved down. Sorry. I was like, you folks on the podcast going, what's he talking about? My light was going, I was like, what happened? Okay. So, and then you've got 12 in a row against the West, August 11th to 23rd. And again, that's going to be Fargo on the road, Winnipeg on the road, Fargo at home, Winnipeg at home. And that stretch will be important because that's going to be your last real chance, with the exception of the Kansas City series, to have head to head. And let's say you're chasing or they're chasing you. Let's just go back to last year. Let's say last year we're at this time. That again, Fargo. Remember that big Fargo stretch? Same thing. You have a big Fargo stretch mixed in back-to-back weeks. Winnipeg, I expect it to be much better, and you're going to see Winnipeg back-to-back weeks, and that is all in the division. Those can either make or break you. So I throw that out there as well. And the post All-Star game, much like last year, you have that 9-game swing after the All-Star break. Same thing. The X's play on the 12th of July at home and don't return again to the 24th, 25th, 26th, but then they're gone again for the rest of the month and into August 3rd. The next long homestand is not August 3rd. So you get a steady dose of road tripping. Cleburne, Lincoln after the All-Star break, but you're done with Lincoln then. Then you're home against Kansas City, then Gary and Fargo. That's your post All-Star break. That's a tough, key stretch. We're going to look at those stretches. They'll be the microscope we're going to look at and go, okay, those are big stretches, right? Those stretches right there. And the final thing that I want to give you is the tough trips, because I like to, what I look at it kind of from, I look at it from the travel broadcast point of view. What's the easy trip? What's the tough one? Where are the tough trips? And here they are. Let's bring these to you right now. And I don't know if you can make these out on the screen here, but the June 5th through 7th, the X's have an up and back to Winnipeg. I don't like these up and backs to Winnipeg. I can't stand them. I don't like them. I had to deal with them in Kansas City. I don't personally think it's bad. That's just me. I'm not speaking for anybody else but me. It's tough on the team because you got to go up and back, cross the border, because that's always a fiasco. It has been every year the last 3 years, and going back, 4 years actually since COVID, it's been a fiasco. Now that's a larger question that I can't answer. The league has got to address, but the getting back and forth is a mess. And to go up and back is tough. So you got to go up on you go up June 5th. You're going to play Gary at home at night. You're going to go up on June 5th overnight, get in 10 a.m., assuming everything goes okay. Could be later, like we did last year, got in at like 1 in the afternoon. There's that, and then play that night, Saturday, Sunday, then come. Now, the Sunday's a day game. You'll get back late Sunday night off Monday. So that's good, but up and back is tough. I always think Winnipeg, and I remember Greg Taggart and I talking about this before. You want that Winnipeg trip to have in those days, St. Paul mixed in or Sioux Falls mixed in, or even a Sioux City. I mean, heck, if you're Gary, you go to Sioux City, then Winnipeg, and up there, then back, or whatever, something. But anyway, okay. The other one, the Gary to Fargo, July 30th and July 31st. That's a tough trip for the travel for the team, because you've got Gary South Shore. I assume that'll be a night game. I assume Thursday night. I would assume, and a night game in Fargo on that Friday. It's a Thursday, Friday, but that's a good trip. That's a 8-hour drive plus from Chicago. So it's 9 hours overnight or so to Fargo. That's a stretch, man. It's a tough one. And that will be tough. The other one will be Kansas City to Lake Country, September 3rd and 4th. Kansas City, I assume, again, probably going to be a night game. Now, these teams could have day game getaways, right? I would tell you if that was flipped, if we were flipping Gary and Fargo, I would tell you Thursday and Fargo would be a day game. They always do those Thursday getaway day games. They love those up there. It's a big deal. The summer's short in Fargo, right? But again, you don't know, but I'm assuming Kansas City will be a night game, and you'll play a night game there, drive 8 hours to play Lake Country. Those really are the tough ones. You've got the Cleburne trip post All-Star break. You'll have an off-day travel there. Plus, the Cleburne to Lincoln deal doesn't really register because you have an off day. You're going to play a night game in Cleburne, get in the middle of early morning, but you're off all day Monday. That's the back end of that Winnipeg trip too. You get a Winnipeg up and back, you are off, but you have the extra hassle across the border going up. So those are the tough trips that I see it on our schedule. I'm going to put this link up right now for you folks as well, as far as where the where you can find the schedule on the website. It's up right now, but in case you have not had a chance to check it out, it's right there. But there we go. There's my tough trips, my knee jerks, and my key stretches here on Explorers Expresso, and a last call on our schedule release show right here. I'll put that link up as well. Here's the link to the schedule right there. Actually, I'm probably probably should put that up here. Maybe that might be the best place to put it. Yeah, put it up here in the chat as well. There it is right there. But that's the schedule on the website. It's on the website. You can print it up right there. There are no game times yet. Those are all going to be announced, even on the road. Would imagine very similar structure what you've seen in Sioux City, but we're going to put all those together at one time rather than kind of, when years past we've had them plugged in, but we're going to wait until they're all ready and plug them in then for you guys. But that's sort of the lay of the land. I can assure you that opening night, opening night, May 22nd, that will be a night game. I can tell you that. We know that. You heard Tom say that earlier. So questions and comments. Last call. Robbie asking if I wonder if that Lincoln doubleheader may be a day night. I think it's a 5 o'clock start, but I don't know for sure, Robbie. But they've done day nights before there. Lincoln has done a day nighter, but I've been involved in a day night doubleheader there once before, I think with Kansas City. So yes. Jason asked, DV, what have you heard on returners and who we are going to sign? Spill the beans, haha. Beer leaders want to know. I have pretty good knowledge of the movement of the roster. There'll be announcements coming up next week, I believe. I know that Tom mentioned it. Mongo mentioned he was talking to a young player on the show last week. You can go back and watch that or listen to the podcast. He mentioned that. He mentioned it was a college kid as a kind of a backup role. I know it's nothing exciting, but it's something. All right. I think I will tell you, I'll answer it this way, Jason. You're going to see familiar faces back. You're going to see some of those guys you love back. But I think what you're going to see though is Mongo is going to manager Steve Montgomery is going to give these guys a chance to, there's a couple things going on behind the scenes. Let me put it this way. They're making phone calls. I know when I talked to Bobby a few weeks ago, he was saying he was making a call for guys, organizations, right? What's their need? If you got, the White Sox, what's your need? Remember we talked about, how they've sent us, organizations sent players to us that they didn't have a place for, didn't sign, but they wanted to see what they got. And those guys could wind up being signed and added in the offseason to organizations. There's that. You've also got guys, I'll give you a guy like Kyle Marmon. Kyle Marmon, you're going to give him every chance, or Austin Drury, every chance to find the AAA Mexico job, the job in Taiwan, wherever they've earned that right. And you're going to see Steve Montgomery and Bobby Post try to push those narratives for those guys if it's available. Now, again, they're going to give them all the time in the world to find those opportunities. And it's not because, there's something else out there, I'll come back to Sioux City. It's not that. It's they want to give them, they don't want them signed to a contract and then say, oh, well, we were going to call you, but we saw you sign. They want to leave them, we want them to have their options open for those higher paying gigs in the CPBL or in AAA Mexico or wherever, right? The Industrial League of Japan, whatever, Puerto Rico, the Roberto Clemente League, whatever. Venezuela, wherever it is out there, that's part of it too. And some of these guys, I just saw, I believe it would have been yesterday, saw one of the, I can't remember who it was pitching down in Mexico. This is something I saw last night before bed, but it was in Spanish, but you have guys playing winter ball, and they do well in winter ball down there. Let's say in Mexico, they get signed to play in Mexico next year. And you want to give your guys, it's Chase Jesse. It was Chase Jesse. Jesse's pitching down in winter ball in Mexico. And let's just say the winter ball folks say we like him. We want him to play for us. And now it's not the same team, but there are affiliations in their Mexican summer league. He's playing AAA. I mean, you want to give your guys a chance because you're trying to chase those major league dreams. Our job is to do that. So, Jason, what I tell you is you're going to see familiar faces back. It may be a while. Remember last year. Now, there was a couple early. For example, Zach Vuletic was signed early. You're going to see probably a younger player you're going to recognize. I don't know who. sign early because he, just sort of established himself. I can see it could be a Henry George, let's say, right? I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if that's who it is, but let's just say. And your older guys, remember, Marmon and Williman were not added till later on down the road, right? So you're going to see those veteran guys those familiar names later on, and probably more toward Christmas and the fall. And if there's no spring, let's just say, I'll throw out Austin Davis, for example. Say Austin Davis gets an invite to go to spring training with somebody. You don't want him signed to your contract. We want him to go get a chance to chase that with no strings attached. No idea if that's going to happen. I hope it does for the young man. But again, a great question there. Final things here in Explorers Expresso. What are y'all talking about? Something about a road trip, Lincoln doubleheader, easy flight to join you somewhere. I'm not sure where that was, but Robbie's saying, oh, my mom, Shinedown. We'll go way back up here. Great to see in Chicago start the season. Yep. Mentioned that earlier. Robbie says, I think my only gripe was having 6 to 7 straight games against division opponents. At least it's early on. Yes. Yes. But those are chances to make your hay. I would tell you, your early record, you had a early series win at Sioux Falls last year that helped you in the end. Was the dog bumps in the lights? Yeah, easy flight to Chicago. All right. I have a bone to pick, Sioux City Airport. Please get American Eagle back in there. Please. Please. I'm begging of you. Whatever it is, call them, please. All right. Let's see here. What else we got here? Road trip. You guys were talking road trip, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Sioux City signs Yasiel Puig and Trevor Bauer. No, but could. Anyway, you guys are great. Okay. Well, that's it. Schedule's up. Again, I broke it down month by month already. I can, won't do that for you again, but it's out. Schedule's out. It's up. It's ready to go. You can check it out on the website. There it is right there if you missed it. The league actually posted this. It's kind of cool. This is actually interesting. I would encourage you to go check this out. The league put this up, and it's I'll have to put on the screen full here because this is sort of a fun. It's sort of what I gave you a while ago, but they tell us that there's 400,000 hot dogs projected to be consumed this year, 575,000 beers. They haven't been to our ballpark yet. They haven't met the beer leaders. That may be doubled. 360,000 foul balls, 1.6 million fans projected, 20 border crossings from Winnipeg, but they don't. Yeah, but they're not as tough as the ones that we got to do. I know they sympathize with Winnipeg, but it's easier for them. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that one. 100 plus fireworks shows, 16 mascots represented, 10 road trips from Milwaukee and Lake Country. Let's see here, 9,000 travel miles for each team this year, 3 times, 600 chances to see a walk-off diving catch. That was what the league put out. Really good stuff. So I just threw it out there, but fun stuff from the league. So there we go. All right. This is a breaking news edition, so I probably let you guys know what our next show is, right? It's probably a good idea because unofficially, I believe, let me look at the calendar here. We are looking at, I believe it's the 5th of November, which is a Wednesday, 2 weeks from tomorrow. 2 weeks from tomorrow, I believe that's the case. And we'll get back with our scheduled shows. Player drops on Tuesdays usually. You'll see player news on Tuesdays. That's going to be sort of the lay of the land again. We decided that when we get them, so there's a good chance Tom's got a player signed, like say on Friday. We'll hold it, announce it on Tuesday. It just seems like a good time this time of year, the weekend and all that. Tuesday is a pretty good news day, so we'll do that. And then, of course, our next show then. I do have the right to bring a show earlier, but at the moment, I believe that's the way the schedule worked out. I kind of haven't – I had to schedule the shows sort of in a framework depending on when the schedule came out, because this actually counts as a show even though it wasn't scheduled until last week late. So anyway, all right, big thanks to Tom Backmeyer. Thanks for everybody who stopped by. Again, go to our website. We'll have a press release on there in a few moments. And that'll be up there as well, just some breakdowns. Some of the notes I gave you already are going to be on there. Of course, the ticket links are on there. Also, links to this show will be on that press release. Our website is going to have that. You folks on Instagram, I haven't checked over there to see how we did over there today. How did we do on Instagram? Oh, we had a lot of comments on Instagram today. We had a lot of folks on Instagram. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. A lot of folks. Instagram Live today. I didn't get a lot of didn't get any message, but I got a lot. We had a lot of Instagram Live. I didn't really mention that we were going to be on Instagram Live, but yeah, so kind of cool. John, good to see you as well. Good to see everybody out there. Thanks to Tom Backmart. Thanks for you guys. Thank you all for stopping by on this breaking news edition of Explorers Expresso. Again, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Hopefully, John, I hope to see you as well, my friend. Hope to see you as well. Again, head to the website to get that schedule up as well. And again, glad you guys stopped by on this edition of Explorers Express. So the breaking news edition. We always do Go X's, right? Let's be better fans tomorrow than we were today. Let's show more love tomorrow. We did today going forward in 2025 and into 2026. You guys ready for some Go X's? I'm ready. We're all ready. Let's actually want to get a little probably. I don't think the music's not working anyway. So I'll play it and we'll just say goodbye. How about that? We'll do that. All right. Ready to go X's? All ready? Here we go. Everybody ready? Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Go X's. I'll see you next time, everybody.
Baseball Sioux City style. Baseball Sioux City style. Gonna conquer the league. Hold on to your seat. Explorers just won't be beat. Baseball Sioux City style. Baseball Sioux City style. Gonna conquer the league. Hold on to your seat. The Explorers just won't be beat. Gonna conquer the league. Hold on to your seat. The Explorers just won't be beat. Baseball Sioux City style. Baseball Sioux City style. Gonna conquer the league. Hold on to your seat. The Explorers just won't be beat. Baseball Sioux City style. Gonna conquer the league. Hold on to your seat. The Explorers just won't be beat. Come on, everybody. Well, it's Baseball Sioux City style. Baseball Sioux City style. Gonna conquer the league. Hold on to your seat. The Explorers just